started. So as you remember, right, we spoke about the 4 different major functionality of the Nester. So the one we had covered, which was availability, the other we covered on the upload. The third functionality that we are going to talk is all about the application security. And then we talked about the manageability and then SDN network, right? So the application security again the huge topic to discuss, but I will take you to very small things that we do and the easy way to deploy the application security. So let me start with the what is that we offer in the application security space. The number one thing that we offer in the application security space is using this device as a SSL VPN. So you can use this device as a full-fledged SSL VPN, and you can have the client place with client access and so on. And the most of the vendor in the SSL industry also do the same thing. What additionally we offer is when you integrate with our other technology, which is a Cloud Bridge, or with the Zen app and the Zen desktop, which is a virtualization technology, you can do a smart access. That means you can identify the users and the way the user is connecting from. Say for example, the user connect from home PC, he will still able to access the application, but he will not able to print the application, or he will not able to download the the data onto his PC. Now he comes back and use the corporate laptop, corporate PC, he will able to do everything that he wanted to do. Or the same user goes to a cyber cafe and then access the data, he may not able to see all the application, but only a few applications. And that is what the smart access is all about. Depend on the end user endpoint, depend on the end user, and depend on the behavior of the end user, you take the decision on the fly how you want to control the end user, the data which is supposed to flow. The second functionality we offer on the device is application firewall. The web application, when you talk about any online transaction that you do, any DB you have on the backside of the web application, you need an app firewall. Most of the times when we talk about the firewall, it is more to do with that at the network layer. But what we offer is at the app layer. Everything and anything that you want to block at the application layer, you can use the application firewall on the device. And the beauty of the application firewall that we have is, it is the hybrid security model application firewall. Most of the times when you talk about any of the security functionality or any of the security device, it always been designed to use the negative security model. That means you have signatures on the device, or whenever there is update of the signatures, you download that update and put it on the security model on the device. So when I talk about the positive security models, it's all about you write your own signatures, nothing to do with the vendor. You decide what is the pattern of the data, you decide how the end user is behaving all about, and then write the signatures, which types of the traffic you want to allow, which types of the traffic you want to block. And when you do this, the combination, we call that one as a hybrid security model, where from a day zero you protect your application from a known vulnerability. At the same time, you put the device in the learning mode, learn your pattern, what types of the traffic is supposed to flow, what is the data flowing inside your network, whether it's the SQL data, SQL ingestion, someone is doing the CSS, someone is trying to access the unwanted resource on the application, and then you write your own signatures. And because of that, what happens is your application is protected from a day zero. At the same time, you can have your own signatures, and you decide what types of the pattern to be allowed. Most of the times, the people have a signature saying that I want to block the SQL traffic. But in the few industry, you may want to allow that SQL traffic at the same time. And that is what we do with the hybrid security models. With the app firewall, we provide the 14 Gbps plus throughput on the single hardware, which is the highest in the industry again, right? So with the hybrid security models, as I said, you can protect as known and unknown, both the attack. The known is with the negative, unknown is where you go and write the signature and they comply with the different security model. Now, since there is a subject of the application firewalling, you go and when you want to say that your application is vulnerable, use the many third-party tools like the IBM AppScan, Qualys, Genesys, and HP, and Trend Micro, and all that. You go scan your application, generate the signature, analyze that, and then say that these are the vulnerability that is present on the application. Now I want to patch them. What we have done is we went one step and said that any tool that you are using to scan your application to find out the vulnerability on your application, we can integrate with that tool. That means you generate the report in the XML format and tell the device that this is a report which shows this vulnerability. The device will go ahead, pick up the report and build a signature as per the report. And now you can just go and apply that signature on the device. So your application will be protected and it becomes easy to manage. Right? If you want to get the comply with the any of the norms like the PCI DSS, HIPAA and all that standard, you can use the app firewall in front of your application. URL transformation, again I call this one as a security functionality, where when you want to protect the application, you see a different URL outside where the user connect, and the actual internal URL may be something else. So basic use is the end user will not come to know what is a part of the application. You may have a longer path for inside, but when the external user comes and they see the URL, it is very short URL. And you can manipulate the any data which is towards the URI, towards the URL and so on. Then we have something called as app expert threat control, where most of the times the DDoS attack protection happens at the network layer. But now you want to control it at the app layer. And that is where we do a app expert threat control, where we can look into the application traffic and decide when to control the behavior of the user. Whether I want to control the behavior of the user depend on the IP address, depend on the subnet, depend on the geolocation and so on. So app expert threat control is a functionality where within a specific time, if you see a number of request packet bandwidth from a specific IP address range to key value or the any users, then you take the decision on the specific object. It can be your V server, it can be your URI, it can be your image and so on. The many times you will find that everything is working fine, but suddenly there is a lot of traffic coming for a specific page only. And that is where you can decide what action you want to take. If we find that any of these criteria didn't match, you can take the action onto that. The action can be anything, like logging the information about the end user, it can be information about the IP address, or it can be, you can say that send the user to somewhere else, pop up the message for end user and so on. So any parameters that you make here, you can take the action. So this is a control that you can dynamically put for your application so that your application is protected against the unknown and the known attack. So before I move on, any question on the security? This is very brief. I will say that high level security PPT that we have put across. We have very detailed description on about each and every feature functionality that you can manage.
There are two types of security that we look for. One is selective exposure of some applications within the same system.
Yes.
On the intranet and the extranet.
Extranet. Yes.
That one. And second thing is the time of day based exposure.
Yes.
There are certain applications available from 10 to 5.
Yes, exactly. So basically, just to repeat the question, you may want to apply the security policy depend on the time, right? So we have policy infrastructure which has been integrated with the time here, where you can say that if the user is connecting from a 10 to 5, you may want to take the different action. But he is connecting after the 5, then you want to take the different action, or you want to ignore the different policy altogether. That is what we call as a time-based policy. So looking into the GTM, any of the time zone that you have, or any of the time that you want to ignore the policy, you can do that.
So we can have any of the mix and matches of the
Exactly right. So we can do a mix and match, and then we bind the policy with respect to time. Right? Sorry, I didn't. Can you repeat?
user is watching some kind of video, so is it possible that to send a message to the user saying that this, I mean, because of this video, bandwidth choking is happening, etc.
Okay.
As per the,
Yes.
the feature of the app exported.
So if you go back again on the same slide,
I'm sorry?
I will just show you where we do that. So that is very much possible. So that is what I say, that depend on the number of refresh or the bandwidth or the packet, the rate per second, you can pop up the message or you can take the action. So this is what we do. You can look into the bandwidth utilized by specific IP, by specific users, or by specific, the tutti value and so on. And then within a time, if the bandwidth utilization is more than that, then you can take the action. It can be a redirection of the user, it can be a message pop-up and so on. So you can do that very much.
I have another question in the similar line is that
I will continue with the presentation and then we have a Q&A session after this. Yeah, and then I think we can take during that time. Okay, so moving on to the simple and the smart management. So basically what we were talking on since morning or since last 2 hours, it is very, very good to have, and it is a lot of things that we can do on the device. But the many times the question comes, how to do that? Is that simple? The way I'm talking or the way the Karthik was talking or the Ramanan is talking? I will say yes. It is very simple to manage, because what we have done is looking into the need of the end user, anything and everything that we have as a functionality on the device, we manage it from a GUI. And what we have done is, say very simple thing is you want to do a load balancing. Nothing to do with the command prompt or nothing to do, nothing to do and learn anything. Just click on the load balancing, the wizard will come up. It start asking you the question. Provide the virtual IP, provide the SSL certificate, provide the, the backend server IP, port number. So the everything is wizard driven. Very simple example you put onto the device and you are now ready, right? You are now ready that your device has been configured and now you put it in the production. So it's very simple to manage. Everything is wizard driven, right? Now when I say wizard driven, but what when you have multiple devices? If you have multiple devices, we provide you a centralized management tool along with the device where you can manage all the device from a central location in one go. And this tool also provides you the information about how your device is behaving, how your app is behaving and everything on the same console. Yes, so we will cover on that part also, right? So when you do all the management, again as I said, everything is the GUI driven. Nothing to learn, like if you want to configure the device, there is no need to learn any language like the C, C++, TCL or anything like that. All is a GUI driven. You select what types of the traffic, either it's HTTP, TCP, UDP, what types of the traffic, what types of the action, what is that you want to do a traffic, the device will automatically get fine-tuned as per the need, right? Coming back, right, the most of the times the people thought all this is okay, but I have very standard application which is SAP, Exchange, Outlook, SharePoint and so on. What to do with that? I don't know which compression policy to be written, which content to be cached, which app firewall policy to be applied. So we move ahead and say that you don't bother about all these. We will tell you that these are the templates which you can download from our website, put it onto your device, provide the IP address, your application will get fine-tuned as per the standard process. So if there is a SharePoint, we know in the SharePoint what content to be cached, what content to be compressed. So you just download the template from this site, put it on the device, provide the IP address, that's all, you're done. If you have application firewall license, it will start applying the application firewall, the policy. If you have FEO license, it will start applying the FEO policy and so on. So for you, it becomes very easy. Just go download, put it on the device, provide the IP address, done, right? And when you configure the device, most of the times you know that when there is a multiple team members, only one knows that how he has configured that. Now if someone else want to know, then he is dependent on that person, saying that go find out how he has configured and all that. We provide something called as a visualizer. where as soon as you configure any application onto the device, it will provide you the visual information, how the packet is flowing, which is a virtual IP, which is a backend server, which is a port number on which the application is running, what SSL certificate has been installed, what name has been given, and so on. You just print this, put it onto your table, and then whenever you want to troubleshoot, just go and have a look. Now many times, again, it is very difficult to go back and make the changes. So what we allow you to do is, from here itself you can make the changes. You want to change the port number, click onto that GUI and just make the changes. So for you, it becomes very easy to manage. You are not dependent on anyone saying that now he will come, tell me the packet flow and so on. Everything is very simple to do, right? So I will go on to the next topic, which is app visibility. I think the most of the people wanted to know about that. What is app visibility? What is that the remnant was talking about, and so on. So this is the session that I'm going to talk on to the how you can get the troubleshoot your application, how to talk about look into performance and so on. Now when there is an issue in the application access, everyone start pointing out to each other, and this is what the practical the issue is. Network team will say that this is application issue, application team will say that this is a client issue, the client people will say that I don't understand anything, this is an app issue or the server issue and so on. But no one will able to tell you that where is the issue. Is this a network issue? Is this an app issue? Is this a server issue? Or is this a device issue which is in between, right? With the app visibility, what we call is insight center, you can find out the information about whether it's issue with the application or the network, which part of the network, how much bandwidth it is taking up, the user or it can be app, how many users are affected, and whether the server is causing the trouble, the hardware on the server is causing the trouble, right? So what we talk about is the insight tool or the insight center. We provide the two flavors. One is about the web application, and the other is about the ICA protocol, which is HDS Insight. So when we are going to talk about the Zen app and the Zen desktop, this is where you get all the information about the user, app, and so on. Where the web insight is a topic that we are going to talk and show the demo lively, what all information you can get into that. So HDS Insight, again, the going back onto the second part of the insight, we again get a lot of information. So this is very specifically to ICA traffic which is flowing via the device, right? So in the web insight, you get the many different report, and you can see the many different report. Even we can tell you that at this moment, when the user says the issue, is that the real issue, or this is the expected behavior of the application. Because when there is an issue, there is nothing called as there is no line what is meaning of the issue or what is meaning of the problem. Application running slow is a statement that has been made by users, but what is meaning of that? Whether the application is getting delivered in the 5 seconds, whether it is getting delivered in the 10 seconds, or even if it is getting delivered in the 20 seconds, is that the expected behavior of the application? And that is what we do with the web insight. We will tell you that average performance of the application to be delivered from a specific region is this much. Even what we have done is, moving ahead, we integrated this web insight with the Doodle analytics or the Doodle map, where you can go and find out from a specific region how much bandwidth has been utilized for that application, or how is the performance from a specific region. You want to know how is the performance from US, how is performance for that application from Europe or Gulf country and all that. That is where we integrated this one with the Doodle maps, where it shows the information how is the performance from a specific location at that time. So I can take the question for 5 minutes, and then we will move ahead on to the next session.
So the visualizer or the insight, which one is used for mostly finding out this analytics?
So the insight is a tool, which is an analytic tool, which provides you the information about the end-to-end flow with respect to end user, with respect to server, and with respect to app.
What about the database? Suppose if there is a time lag between data coming in and the application goes slow. So which one we are going to use?
Insight. That is
Fine.
where we look into the insight.
Thanks.
It's a separate virtual appliance which comes with the device. So there is no additional cost in the SDS types of the license. You have to just provision that VM, and then it can start pushing the data onto that VM. So each and every data will be pushed onto the Insight Center.
So it's on the same HDX box?
Yes, exactly right.
And the visualizer thing?
It is the part of the Nextcloud itself.
So we talked about multiple things, like, so one is the security component, which we discussed in the previous thing. Right? Security is becoming one of the key complex thing. What we are seeing in the industry today is earlier, the threats used to come from externally. Today, unfortunate or fortunate, like, the threats are coming internally also, knowingly, unknowingly. So the threats is, again, it's not at the layer 3 level. A lot of threats, we read about a lot of things happening at the SQL injection, DDoS attacks, which is happening, like, so how do we protect the infrastructure? So just a firewall sitting at the perimeter, DMC, is definitely not going to 100% protect the infrastructure. You need to have a firewall, inside the data center, in front of your infrastructure, that is your web and your DB environment, which can able to protect against any of these attacks, and who can able to understand the layer 7 threats. That is more critical, right? So that's what Netscaler, one of the most powerful web application firewall, Netscaler, and we see, RBI in fact come out with, for complying for the PCI DSS, have mandated all the banks to have the web application firewall enabled for the internet banking part of it. So we have a standalone web application firewall, so it depends upon the customer. We have different customers. They feel that, I want to have a separate web application firewall. I don't want that to be mixed with the other functionalities. We have a standalone web application firewall available with us in Netscaler. And later, if you want to, upgrade your web application firewall to get other functionalities also, you can able to do that. Or as we talked about, the SDX is a classical thing where you can create a VM, get him to do the web application firewall along with the other functionalities which he is anyway doing it. Right? So that is on the the web application firewall front. SSL VPN, again, one of the classic thing, Netscaler itself is a SSL VPN solution. It's a full-fledged SSL VPN solution. You can have dual factor authentication with any third-party components. It get integrated tightly. And we are going to talk about anyway the Zen desktop tight integration with SSL VPN, right? So we get a lot of requests from a lot of customers, I want to enable my users to work from anywhere, but only from the company owned device, right? So how do you do that? That's where Netscaler, along with Zen desktop, which is a tight integration which happens, which allows, where I can able to do a MAC ID authentication, and I will identify whenever users are pinging in from home, but from the corporate owned device, where I will get him to, first authentication happens at the Netscaler, and then the AD will get him to allow him to access the Zen desktop infrastructure. The same way we have a lot of requests from customers where where the user working in office, I want him to access or probably see all the applications, get him to work on all the applications. But when he is working from outside the office, I don't want to get him to see the critical applications. That's where again Netscaler and with Zen desktop is a tight integration, plays a major role, where that is called a smart access, wherein you can able to get him, whenever he is coming from inside the office, inside the intranet, he will have a regular view on all the application access. But the same user, when he steps out, you will get him to have a very restricted application, which are non-critical application access onto the same domain. In the sense, his username password doesn't change, but Netscaler takes a role from where he is pinging in from. Based on that, he will put him across to the different group. So those kind of tight integration with Zen desktop, with the SSL VPN, functionality, which another critical thing. And the third thing which we talked about is the management and the visibility. Two different components. Management is to configure, install, and manage, and that's pretty easy. You would have seen just 3 clicks. You can configure your load balancer. The similar way you can have all the other things, and we have seen a lot of customers where with the other load balancer solutions, like wherein they need to have a C++ engineer to do the scripting part of it. That's a very sad part of it, right? So in NetScaler, you don't need to have a C++ engineer who need to do the scripting part of it. Everything is ready-made available. You just have to do the drop-down and enable whatever the functionalities which you want to do it. It's so simple to manage, and it is so simple to configure NetScaler appliance, right? And the most critical thing which we talked about is the insight part of it. So 2 versions of it. For Web Insight, for all the web traffic, whatever the web traffic which you are putting it across onto the NetScaler, this guy can able to capture the information, and he can able to give you a granular level, understanding about what's happening over there. And the second part of it is the HDX Insight, specifically for Zen app, Zen desktop traffic, because we have seen whenever customer go for the virtualization, always the first feedback from the users is virtual desktop doesn't open, application running very slow, I'm not happy with this, please give me back my big box. So when you are migrating from to a thin client, this is a common feedback which we have got from all the customers, how do you analyze whether actually there is a problem, or just it's a user just want to get his big black box back, he is trying to do all these things, right? This is the fantastic way wherein you can able to have a granular level of understanding in terms of where the problem is and fix it immediately to make the user experience better. So that's the 3 component which we discussed. So if there is any questions, otherwise we can move ahead with the next session.
Yes, yes. So only you have to tell which is the address where you want to send them.
Yeah. So thanks, Sheetal. I think we can.